Hi Kiwi, and welcome back to another episode of Hades 1. Today, this is going to be our mirror setup. We are going to be running the aspect of Gilgamesh, and we're actually going to play a legitimate aspect of Gilgamesh run for a change. I don't think I've ever actually used this aspect weapon for anything other than dash-only runs. So the main way this weapon works, I believe, is if you do a special while dashing, you maim targets, which means they will take a pretty hefty amount of damage, 400 damage, after a duration. Let's see, it's about 4 seconds. Also, while they are maimed, they deal 50% more damage and take 25% more damage. So it's kind of a glass cannon sort of weapon. The nice thing about the weapon is it does give us extra dashes, though. As far as what we're going to do, we're going to go for a 19 heat bounty with 1 level of hard labor and lasting consequences, maxing out jury summons through levels of extreme measures, maxing out benefits package middle management, and 1 level of tight deadline. We're going to be hunting for Merciful End. I figure Merciful End will work really well on this weapon, potentially. And if not, we certainly have plenty of wiggle room to find something else that works, if not.
Those are the gauntlets of the fated King Gilgamesh, are they not? A bringer of destruction and an agent of the fates. You are full of surprises, my kin.
Now, I think I should say fairly early on, of course he gives us his worst attack. Oh well, we're still taking it because we need that for the build we're aiming for. Now, what I will say is I have noticed some pretty serious audio dips in some of the more recent episodes preceding this one.
A fishing point.
The burden of the passing time shall force a choice from you.
Namely, it appears that my commentary gets cut off every now and again, and I would very much like to know if anyone hears that in this episode, because I am trying to correct noise gates that for some reason got reset, but the last 3 episodes of Hades in particular I think were most affected by this, and I'm very sad to have found that out in post, because I wouldn't have recorded them if I hadn't gotten the audio fixed. Alright, let's see. Attack damage or rarer boons? I honestly think rarer boons might be more valuable to us because we're going to be depending on Doom for the bulk of our damage. So, yeah, let's do this. Let's get the increased boon rarity. We take 47% more damage, but we deal...
Primordial ooze, my favorite.
But we'll have a 17% increased rarity overall on our boons. Hopefully sets us up well for duos, legendaries, and things of that nature.
Hey, Pergelli.
So for us to get a good Merciful End build, what we need is Athena's special. We already have Ares' attack, although we got his lowest tier attack, sadly. And then we need finally Athena's dash to round everything out. Getting used to using the dash upper will take a little bit, but there we go, okay. Now this guy's gonna get popped if I just watch him. Bam. Alright, so that's kind of how Gilgamesh works, though. How often I will use that dash special? I bet there are actually some very interesting dash special builds we could go the route of if we wanted to, but I think for now what I do is it just takes too long to pop, and the fact that enemies deal 50% more damage, if we were running a higher heat, for example, that would be really rough. This witch is just hugging those walls and I can't hit them through them. Sheesh. Alright, well, a palm on the Doom effect will be very good because the more we want as much damage as we can get on these dooms early, on this Doom early, because it's going to scale way higher once we get those Merciful End build going. Of course, there are other Ares boons that we want to see if possible, namely his tier 2s that make us let our Doom stack up, and more importantly, Impending Doom, I believe, which makes our Doom take longer to activate, but deal at least 60% more damage, which, okay, so that 50% damage steroid hurts us a lot more than it hurts the enemies. I'm probably just gonna sit on that special a little bit. We'll use it, but maybe not against enemies that can attack so fast. Like, these guys are the equivalent of a forced overtime enemy. They get pretty substantial speed buffs that only get worse when you have forced overtime on, mind you. Gotta just try and dash out their attack and then let Doom do the rest. The thing about Gilgamesh is it attacks a lot slower than most other gauntlet weapons, so I'm not fully used to the timing yet, and I have to be a little bit mindful of how few iframes our dash attack does in fact have, because it sets me up for failure if I'm not careful. That's part of the reason why Athena's dash is so good. Not only does it proc not only does it activate Merciful End while we're dashing through enemies while launching those attacks, but more importantly, it gives us or I guess not more importantly, but just as importantly, it gives us a ton of extra iframes on our dash. I mean, look at this, I'm already at 30% of our HP.
How many have I got now?
Artemis showing up here is honestly pretty nice. Critting on Impending Doom, buffed Doom hits will be pretty awesome.
Dusa.
You got it.
All right.
I'm gonna bring Dusa here, or I'm gonna use Dusa here, may as well. I'm gonna try and knock this out before it starts lasering us, and there we go. Cool. Yeah. Dusa, the reason why Dusa isn't as popular for speedruns is just she does not do burst damage.
You getting anywhere down there yet, Zagreus?
We showed in an earlier run that we use Meg, and she just one-shots things, so we can't take... As much as Artemis's dash would be kind of nice here, I'm not going to take it. We could hold out for Ares' cast, so I do want at least something from her, so I guess we'll take her aid here. Honestly, Athena's aid sounds pretty nice, because it sounds like I could very comfortably avoid a lot of damage if I had her... Athena's call, but I don't think it's worth giving up the potential hunting blades we could throw into the mix here. We'll see how much that pays off in the long run, though. As it is, I'm not a fan of these witches just hugging the trap, but I guess I can do this. Of course the witch somehow glitches through the damage. Those spikes can hit flying enemies, so I don't know why that witch did not take any damage. It must have, like, just been hovering over the edge or something. I'm not sure. No matter.
Want to die again?
Yeah, I think I just stick to dash attacking and trying not to take damage from the dashes if I can avoid them, but we've proven time and time again that I seem to be laser focused onto these floor traps. It's really only the Tartarus traps and sometimes the guillotines and sticks. Let's see, Concentrated Knuckle. Your attack deals +5 base damage for each consecutive hit. Your dash strike pierces foes and deals 900% armor damage. Or while attacking your special, you take 30% less damage. Honestly, I think Colossal Knuckle is the way to go because I'm just like brain dead getting hit. This is alternatively very good though, but I think if we get Merciful End, we're going to have so much damage that armor is not going to matter. So we'll take Colossal Knuckle. It's basically a consistent 30% damage reduction. Do I really want to trade all of my HP for 16 coin? I don't think I do. We'll take the Light of Ixion though. Another Chaos Gate sounds potentially very good. And a little bit of HP here sounds lovely. I would definitely like to see my HP a bit higher than it currently is, so that I perhaps don't lose a Death Defiance this early into the run. Knowing me, I'm probably going to get an Electo in the Fury fight and just base tank one of her discs and instantly die. That seems to be a commonality for me when I'm playing a little riskier build. This is giving me flashbacks to the time I ran Arthur for the first time, where I was so unused to the standard gameplay style that I just kind of got wrecked and unfortunately lost my win streak. But hopefully this isn't going to be one of those callback sort of situations. Need to remember I do have Artemis's aid, so we can use that periodically to take out an enemy, I suppose. It doesn't do actually that much damage, unfortunately. The Greater Call is decent, but it's a one-shot sort of... It's good for bosses, I guess, and that's about it. Killing off individual enemies isn't terrible, but it's not that exciting. We'll take the shop here and hope to see another either Artemis, maybe Athena shows up early, or Ares. Of course, Aphrodite's going to show up instead. We'll take the Palm here for sure, pop that on the attack, and now our Doom is doing 101 damage a hit, which is pretty nice for us. Again, we want to try and stack up as much Doom damage as we can early, so that we can benefit from it later. I'm doing my best to be careful about how I use my dash special though, because one solid hit from these guys and I'm gonna take a whole lot of damage. I don't actually know if they hit me there or if I got clipped by their wire. Either way, I am in the red again, so I've got to be careful. Yeah, I think it takes too long for MAME to activate, and the risk reward system for this sort of weapon doesn't feel great. It certainly will feel very bad, particularly come higher heat with forced overtime. And imagine doing this against forced overtime extreme measures for dad with any amount of hard labor. You are just going to get chunked and possibly lose a run to it. So yeah, I think right now my base impression of Gilgamesh, outside of doing gimmick builds for dash only runs, which have been some of my funnest runs, mind you, is kind of negative. I think if you're going to take a gauntlet or a twin fist, you take the aspect of Zagreus for the dodge chance to increase your survivability. Or honestly, I feel like the only good, and like here's the thing, the gauntlets have some amazing synergies, some of the best consistent hammers. Like there are a few hammers to the gauntlets, or the twin fists rather, that I wouldn't want to take. Like they all have a place that could make them really strong. I would say out of all of the weapons, mind you, that the gauntlets probably have the most good, consistently good hammers that aren't even that situational in most builds. Like, you can find a way to use pretty much every hammer that is offered. But the trade-off is it has kind of overall the weakest aspect options. I would argue aspect of Zagreus doesn't give you any damage. It gives you some survivability, which when you're running higher heats does sound nice. But honestly, if you kill things fast, you're going to survive a lot better than if you are just dodging hits. And it's only a 15.
Seeing all that red.
It's only a 15% dodge chance, which can matter. But
Victory.
probably it's a if you're depending on that, then I think it's a skill issue more than anything. And forgive me for saying that, like it's
Let's try it.
like I'm not trying to say that as an issue, or I'm not trying to say that as an insult. I'm trying to say that if you are depending on a chance to dodge a hit as the thing that's going to decide whether you win or run, I do think that you are using that weapon as a crutch rather than necessarily learning to play the game better. And that is not to say that it can't be used to learn to play the game better, and I think that's a very important distinction. Like, use it to survive,
How many times?
but don't depend on it. Learn how to dodge things and position and know the enemy patterns and that sort of thing, rather than just depending on a small chance to dodge.
I'll take this one.
Hermes is not offering us anything we want. Let's see if we can get either more dashes. More dashes would be ideal. Alternatively,
How about a different set of choices?
hyper sprint to set us up for rush delivery, or yeah, rush delivery would be awesome. And it's an epic tier, which is great. I am going to buy the HP here, but I don't think I'm at risk of death now. We don't have any levels of convenience fee, so I can pretty reliably buy things. Oh, look, it is Electo.
Nothing like nice fresh blood to warm things up in here, I always say.
All right, we're gonna call Ferdusa right away. She'll help us out, and I'm gonna try and fight her with Maim and see what happens. Because I mean, if I'm making the argument that I need to dodge, you need to dodge, I should also make the argument that I need to dodge, right? Like, but look at that. The thing about Maim is that the damage didn't activate until after I phased her, so I didn't really even get to benefit from it. So yeah, I think the Maim mechanic is an interesting one, but it has too many weaknesses to be reliable.
Take this.
Unless you're like playing a super heavy kiting build sort of thing, or just going all in on the special, I think there are too many detriments to it. Anyway, what was I saying before that? I got distracted. Oh. Well, at least her discs only do like 500 damage, so... Did I ever summon Dusa? I must have, I just don't see her. I didn't hear her say anything either. Alright, she's gonna pop to my Maim, so I'm just gonna kite her out and let her finish her. Oh, she didn't actually... Oh, shit, okay. For a second, I didn't see the mark above her head. It's kind of hard to see the bear claw symbol, or the scratch mark symbol above their head when everything is dark and red tinted, I guess. No matter, that's a furious fight done. We're not making the best time, but that's the thing. Merciful End is rough. It is the speedrun build.
Could try a different one.
But
With that one.
it's only good for speedruns if you actually get it. And you need to get it early. 30% more attack damage for 6 rooms sounds kind of nice on paper, but I think I'm going to sit on that coin just so that we make sure we have it for later. Should also remember to use Artemis's Aid. We have it, we may as well use it. So I think if we run into Eurydice here, the question is, do I take the increased boon rarity, or do I go for her rarity upgrade? Because we only have like 3 boons. There's a decent chance it hits the attack. It's a 1 in 2 chance, or it's a 50% chance. Nectars are nice because they do give us a random palm level, so there's a decent chance this rolls on the attack, kind of in the same vein. Yeah, the other issue with the special is just it comes out so slow that not only is it, I'm worried about getting hit while I'm using it, and I've applied maim by hitting them with I've applied maim by hitting the enemy, but the end lag on that is, watch, if I use my special, I'm mashing dash. That's how long it took me to dash. There's like almost a full half second's time before I can dash, so it leaves you as a sitting duck. So in particular, if you are running, again, if you are running forced overtime, you are going to be having a rough time. Or not forced overtime. What do we get? Does it hit the attack? It hits the attack. Awesome. Ooh, our second Hermes already. Let's see if we can get either a nice rush delivery or some lovely greater reflexes. Honestly, I'd rather greater reflexes because, again, that'll synergize best with our build, but rush delivery will obviously be a substantial damage up. Is that our third Chaos Gate, or is that our second? I think we've seen a whole number of Chaoses already now, which is kind of nice. Funny enough, though, I noticed these what are they called? Bloodless enemies? The skeletons. Their attack pattern is the same as our little gauntlet strikes. They're just swinging wildly. But they'd be scary with the. Imagine if they could activate the. Imagine if regular enemies could use some of the god boons. There is actually a very interesting mod that I've come across. I haven't played with it at all, but it strikes me as very concerningly interesting. It makes it so whatever instead of Hades, the final boss is actually your last Zagreus that you played as. So you have to fight against whatever boons won you the run previously. And that sounds terrifying.
Here comes a little boost to get you up and out of there in no time, boss.
All right, what have you got, Hermes? I think we have to reroll here. The attack speed could be nice, but it's not what I want.
Hate to be ungrateful here.
Greater haste, auto reload, 1 greater reflex. We'll take greater reflex here. It's not amazing. And in this instance, we'll take Athena because it's a guaranteed Athena, either her dash or her special. We probably want her special first. The reason for that is once we have her special, we can get Merciful End. It's just a matter of we still need the dash to make it more easily activatable. So the way Merciful End works, in case you're unaware, is if any ability that can deflect a projectile from Athena triggers your Doom effects immediately, and then you deal an additional, I think, 40 damage by Doom. So what that means is I attack and apply Doom, and then I use Athena's special to then consume the Doom and have it activate immediately. So that sounds really good, and it is really good. It's extremely strong because Doom on its own does a lot of damage, and then if you're activating it rapid fire, then it's doing even more. It's doing so much. The downside to it, though, is, I mean, well, the gauntlets, the special attack does not come out in any fast manner at all. So we need something to activate it quicker, and that's where Athena's dash comes in. Basically, you dash attack and just bounce back and forth, and every time you dash, you're activating the Merciful End, or activating the Doom damage.
Lord Ares has suggested he and Goddess Nyx have grown much closer to each other in all this. Nothing untoward, if you must know. Ares and I have often disagreed about so many things, and yet we share a fondness for the night herself, it seems.
I'm very confident she said this in the last episode. I don't know why she has repeated herself. Unfortunately, we do not get her special, but we do get her dash, so I'm going to take that. It means we won't be able to get Merciful End too soon. But on the bright side, we are getting a increased rarity Ares in this next room, which means we could see the tier 2 of Impending Doom. That would give us a pretty sizable damage up, and since the rarity will be increased, there's a reasonable chance we see at least rare, if not epic tier, assuming he gives it to us. The gods have not been kind to us in terms of RNG lately. Gesundheit, Kiwi, I heard you sneezing from upstairs. The nice thing about this mini-boss is it can't actually directly damage us, so I could, in theory, just maim it at all times. The only downside is I could clip these other enemies and potentially get it. It also seems that I'm not accounting for the fact that Gilgamesh actually has a very hefty delay on its attack, and that makes it hard to dash strike. I honestly think that Demeter would still be the better aspect weapon. I guess let me discuss the Twin Fists. I'm honestly thinking at some point of doing at some point doing a proper formal tier list of my opinions of what gods are the best, what boons are the best, what hammers are the best, what aspect weapons are the best. I'm sure tier lists are a dime a dozen on YouTube, but it would be fun to kind of give my own opinion, looking at both what's most fun and what's most powerful. Let's see. Of course, he doesn't offer us anything of what we wanted, and I will reroll at least once here for the sake of that.
What I need right now.
Impending Doom, there we go. 65% more damage, but take 0.5 seconds longer to activate. That'll matter so much less. The negative effect of this boon, or the debuff of this boon, will matter so much less once we get Merciful End going. All right, we've got a Skull Crusher. Let's go ahead and kite them down, and then just... The fun part about maim on these enemies is if they do go flying away, I just drop a maim on them, and then they're dead. That said, I seem to not be good at landing maim. I don't know my damage range, it seems. See, there he goes. He got popped in the air. Of course, this Gorgon head is just going to fly in the lava, and I can't hit it reliably. Okay, so our Doom is doing a nice, solid 191 damage, I think is what I just read there. Not 100% sure on that. Oh, good. We have enemies that pop damage control shields, so we'll want to get rid of those ASAP. Yeah, so basically what happens is I'm gonna mash dash. Maybe it does come out fast enough. I don't know. For some reason it seemed very delayed there. Maybe there's a little bit of hit lag when you're landing damage on enemies. I think between the 20% more damage from Impending Doom or the 10 more damage on our base attack, I think Impending Doom actually gives us more at this point. Because 20% of 100 is 20. Athena and Artemis trial. We'll take this because we'll see if we can get Athena's special. We'll see if we can get Artemis's anything that gives us crit. So pressure points at this point is ideal. Or, yeah, no, that's about it. Let's see. So Athena is probably the easier god to deal with, but she gives us more damage in the short term. But I think I'll take Athena first. Ooh, epic tier special. Love to see that. So your special now deflects and deals 112% more damage.
You really missed an easy shot here, Zagreus. But I will not. You'll see.
I'm sure she will hit us at least once. That is kind of how it goes with this. But on the bright side, now I have a pretty hefty damaging special, and more importantly, we can get Merciful End. And once we get Merciful End, we're going to see it's basically its greatest potential at this point. Damage control spamming Drakens, not into that very much at all. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of projectiles. Ah! How did I dodge all that? It seems like the timing on the dash when you're attacking at the same time is a little bit weird. I'm not enjoying this room. There are a few too many projectiles for my liking. On the bright side, though, I guess what I could do is instead of attacking here, I just use my special and reflect all the projectiles as they spawn them in. That seems to be a good idea until I run face first into the damage. Yeah, Gilgamesh seems to be kind of an acquired taste for me. It's fun to gimmick, and it's not fun to, it's definitely not my favorite weapon. So how do I discussed how I view the aspect of Zagreus. Let's talk about the other weapon aspects.
I'll keep hunting you until you're dead, but there's too little meat on you to make it worth my while.
So the one downside to the gauntlets as a whole is just that of course you are going to be melee distance. So you want survivability. So that's one of the big benefits of the aspect of Zagreus. It does give you that bit of survivability. But again, learning to time your dodges can also give you survivability. Granted, it can become very overwhelming very quickly in this game.
Give me a better boon.
So that's not to say that this is a guaranteed safety even if you get good. Like, human error is a thing, and it's very easy to achieve. Just watch me play any game, frankly.
Why, hello, Lenny. What have you been up to since I last destroyed your multitude of heads?
I mean, if you're up to episode almost 130 or after 130, I haven't really I've kind of lost count. I think we're at like we might be at 130 exactly, I'm not sure. But either way, if you're at episode 130 by this point, you know my propensity for error. It's equal parts amusing and tragic, I would say, in my opinion. But I digress. I think for me, the aspect of Zagreus is it would definitely go higher on a tier list for fun, because the stacking dodge chance builds are hilarious. Honestly, the gauntlets as a whole are one of my favorite weapons to play for fun, but when I'm in serious mode and don't want to take damage, or I want to win a run, I want to have a fun run that just feels really strong, they're not usually my first pick, admittedly. That isn't always the case. There are definitely some strong runs, and again, I maintain that aspect of Demeter is actually a pretty solid weapon all around. It does pretty good damage because it has all the benefits of the gauntlets as a whole, and then it has the enhanced special on top of that, which dealing 5 times your normal damage sounds amazing, and it is amazing. It's just that there are some builds that work with it, and there are some builds that don't, I suppose. Just trying to take these guys out with Artemis's Call. Actually worked pretty well for me. Alright, Doom will finish that off, and then we'll just set up for finishing off Lerny here. Alright, got him maimed, so he's going to take a whole lot of damage very quickly. And I mean, if he's just going to spam his friends, we're going to pop him without him ever getting the chance to hurt us. So I'll save aspect of Demeter for last to really go into, but let's talk about aspect of Talos, because I have mixed opinions about it. I think on paper it sounds good. Your magnetic cutter can pull enemies in,
Tread lightly, boy.
Let's see here.
which is one of the weaknesses of the melee builds. You can't always reach your enemies if they're further away, so pulling them in can benefit you. What do I want as my 4th god? I should probably pick one so that they stop showing up in the shops. I don't know. We need Ares, we need Athena, we have Artemis. Zeus doesn't really synergize with them that well. Demeter I could make some consideration for. At this point, it's just whoever gets the cast. I guess who has good support boons if I'm not going to take the cast? Maybe we take Demeter, Maybe I should have taken that Demeter boon, because if Rare Crop hit our attack, that would have been outstanding.
Can wash away my boons.
All right, I guess what I'll do is I'll just buy whatever next... I'll take whatever next god shows up, assuming they aren't competing with the 3 that I actually want. It's funny how a lot of the time I get... wait, I didn't change out my keepsake. So does this keepsake work to get us another Athena?
Day or night in paradise.
I assume very much not. It would be nice if it did. But I guess at the very least it increases the rarity of her boon, so if we do see an Athena, she'll give us more rarity. That's awkward. That's really awkward. Oopsie. Alright, this should be a guaranteed fish.
Fish. That's one more fish for me.
Fun fact, if you didn't know, if after the 3rd bob, the fish is guaranteed to be caught on the 4th bob. So you always know to expect it if you get that. It's how you can guarantee yourself some legendary fish, or some higher tier fish, if you're not familiar, if you're not good at the timing games, or your reaction time is kind of slow, you can know to expect it if you have seen 3 bobs without a fish appearing. Anyway, so where was I? So, Aspect of Telos. So, the idea of it pulling enemies closer is quite nice. The damage buff that it gives is also fairly decent. It's 50%, not the strongest damage buff in the world of Aspect weapons, and I still think that Aspect of Demeter special does more damage overall, especially if you get a good special boon on it. Or even a couple good, decent hammer, or even like one decent hammer, it could possibly out DPS. Granted, I suppose. Well, the thing about Talos is it only benefits the attack and the cast. It does not benefit the special. So you have to. The idea is you use your special to get the damage buff, and then you switch to your attack or cast for the bulk of your damage. It is effectively the only gauntlet weapon that enhances the cast in some capacity. So it's kind of in the same category as Achilles and Poseidon on the sword. Rush kick. Your flying kick your special becomes a flying kick that does 40 base damage twice. Your special can get increased range, or whenever you special so basically it says you're taking a special boon whether you want it or not. After all this complaining, you don't get a choice. Flying cutter sounds like a lot of damage potential. Although having reliable sustain could be nice. It's only 2% of our HP though. Let's take this. We have such a high damage modifier from Athena on this special. I bet that'll do a lot of damage. It's probably going to set me up for failure because I'm so prone to running into enemies. Okay. The good news is actually it makes it a lot easier. I think that actually kind of solves my problem with being able to reliably use my range on these gauntlets. Because I've been complaining about having a difficulty properly aiming my special. So, you know what? I think this works. I think this works for me quite well. I'll let this guy fire his shot, and then we just dash in and special him, and yeah, okay. You know what? I like flying kick here, actually. I've had my misgivings with it. It has definitely thrown me into chaos before. But here it seems good. For this specific build, it seems like a decent option. Of course, we've got chariots. Gotta love those. And because I'm running the gauntlets, I need to make sure that I'm on its back at all times, or I'm gonna get hurt. I'm gonna get hurt pretty bad. All right, back to focusing. Do we get the attack boon, though?
The power of the gods.
Okay, so we'll take 10 more damage on our curse. Sure, why not? HP, I could probably use that HP. I'm probably gonna get hit a little bit getting this, but I'll heal up most of it, I imagine.
That does not belong.
I almost ran into that arrow. As long as we are above... As long as we maintain... We come out of this with more than 120 HP, we net gain, right? Trying to pop these guys before they regenerate. May or may not work. Alright, cool. Yeah, that should heal us up.
Blood and darkness.
That's a net gain. Excellent. Okay. So on paper, Aspect of Talos seems pretty decent. But I find the damage a little bit lacking. It can set up for some silly gimmick builds, though. The yo-yo build I tried was hilarious.
Don't spend it all in one place.
All right. Artemis isn't really offering us anything of major value, but I'm not going to go hunting for any of her boons just yet, so we'll take Clean Kill. It's a little bit more damage when we crit, but not that much. And here's Athena to show up, so hopefully we get something nice and rare from Athena here, such as Merciful End.
Let us grow stronger in the ways of battle.
Oh gosh, imagine maiming Asterius. He gets the 50% damage steroid, and you're on forced overtime with any levels of hard labor. That just sounds awful. That sounds genuinely awful. But the funny thing is, if he's going to go dashing like this, I can dash through him and be pretty safe. Just need to be ready for him to do anything unsavory. Ah, see? Got clipped by that. Thankfully, with the shockwaves are kind of the least amount of damage that he does. But if he does his like bull rush attack where he's charging at you, that is going to be scary because I've seen that thing hit 75s especially when I'm running higher levels of hard labor. It appears that he is choosing not to use his rush. He seems very jump happy here today. All right, he's going to spin, so this is my chance to use my Artemis Call and get some damage here. Unfortunately, with this build, I really don't have a good option for damaging him from a distance. I have my cast, and that's about it. Oh, dear. It's funny, but the combination of Doom and Maim they do synergize a little bit. You drop your damage, and then you bail out. Shoot, got clipped by that projectile. Guess it affected that. All right, we should be getting him dead any second now. Another Artemis boon. Oh. Ooh, so like I said, Athena's dash is so valuable here. The iframes it provides just keeps you alive.
Cheers for the fight.
Anyway, I guess
In the name of Hades.
I think the issue, Deadly Reversal, when you deflect, briefly gain 20% crit chance. I probably still want to take that, but I mean, we're losing out on Merciful End, but we get this out of the God pool, I'll take it. Or we get this out of the pool of boons they can offer. It's not Merciful End, it's not going to be as good as anything else that we could have wanted, but I'm going to be deflecting fairly easily, so I suppose having that 20% crit chance will be quite nice.
That one's come back.
Plus we have 4% crit chance at least from pressure points off of Artemis as well. Anyway, so I guess my opinion on Aspect of Talos is I would probably rank it higher than Zagreus, but I don't find it more fun than Aspect of Zagreus in turn. So performance-wise, yeah, it's better. In terms of fun factor, I think Aspect of Zagreus I've had more fun with so far in this run, in this playthrough. And then in terms of like viability for higher heat, I think you're going to be taking Aspect of Demeter almost always if you're going to be running higher heat on the gauntlets. It has the burst potential that Talos lacks, and that 50% steroid that it gives is nice, but it doesn't really amount for much, and you're sacrificing survivability because you are
I'll take it.
because you're using a melee build. And you probably don't want things to be close to you when you're using your special all the time, because it does. If Gilgamesh has anything to kind of demonstrate the idea, you are locked into an animation for a period of time when you use the special on any of the gauntlets. It's just more pronounced on Gilgamesh, I believe, and that means you're pulling enemies in. You're locked into an animation, and then the enemies, if you're running forced overtime at any level, can probably get a hit in before you can dash away. So it seems almost like a double-edged sword. I'll have to test that out before I give you a confident this is my final opinion on Talos, but I think that's my first impression thought on it. Or I guess not first impression, but like of all my runs that I've had, that's kind of my opinion on Talos. Demeter is king, and the reason for that is just it doesn't force you into using your special. You're going to put most of your damage on the attack, and then the special is just kind of like the icing on the cake that you can use situationally. You get your what is it called, Greater Cutter or something charged up, and then you conserve it for when you know there's a good opportunity to use it. It's not like you have to use it all the time. Granted, I mean, that's how all the gauntlets are. I shouldn't misrepresent that fact, but the idea is it's more consistent, it's more safe, it's more predictable, and it's just stronger. The burst potential on that special is insane, especially if you get a good special boon. Oh, nice. We're getting another level of Impending Doom that basically has doubled our overall damage. So Patroclus here is kind of nice because he can offer us a 60% attack steroid, which will make us get through the hero's fight a lot safer. The downside is there's Demeter to hopefully round out our final god and not take up our chance of getting Merciful End. But I do think I take the 60% damage steroid. Hey guys, I'm just gonna grab your pot, don't mind me. Hope you didn't care about that pottery.
Please make yourself at home here in this corner of eternal paradise.
He sounds a little jaded about saying that. He must be happy because he has
Thanks, sir.
Achilles back with him, but I don't know, it feels a little bit stilted. We'll take the palm here. I know I should probably be going for a fourth god so that I don't get my Styx pool ruined by whatever fourth god decides to force their way in. But I don't know. It's so fun to see how much damage we can do with our Doom and Maim at the same time. Maybe I'll do a silly Gilgamesh gimmick build at some point where I only do the special and I put Doom on that and we just see what happens. Maybe we get for example, maybe we get Aphrodite's attack, and then we get their duo between Ares and Aphrodite, and just constantly have damage over time without being around them. We could round it out with a Demeter and Zeus duo and just have them jolted as well, so they're constantly taking jolted damage every time they try to attack. And then I just kind of dance around them while they damage themselves, and I just am safe. That sounds like a fun gimmick. It would be hard to pull off because whenever I have a gimmick build that requires 4 gods, it's very much at the fate of RNG to decide whether I'm getting all of them or not. We're getting pretty severe diminishing returns on this Doom damage now. It's only 5 on that. Alright, let's see who shows up in the shop. Hopefully an Ares boon. Alright, Demeter's here, we'll take her.
Why not?
Rare crop. Alright, what does it hit? It hits our dash of all things. Jeez, that's like the most useless. Our damage is not coming from the dash. I think that much is obvious. Oh well, what you gonna do?
Tell Hermes I said hi, will you?
Alright, let's make short work of these heroes.
Come forth, blackguard, and be vanquished by my righteous spear.
I'm gonna claw your face off.
Do say you there?
Something need cleaning up.
What is this?
Look at all this.
Look at our... oh man, I didn't think about that, but what if we crit with Maim? That would do a lot of damage.
Well, Hellspawn, not ready to admit defeat as yet.
Theseus, you're getting melted. Don't even try to taunt me here. Alright. We may not have Merciful End yet, but our damage is up there.
Lord Zeus, I need your strength.
Gonna bail out there. A little bit too much going on for me to like it. Unfortunate that Theseus can block Artemis's call, I think, there. Or maybe not. It may be a piercing arrow. I'm just not sure. If I get hit by 1 hit from that bull, I'm gonna die. Or I'm gonna lose a Death Defiance. I'm not gonna actually properly die, I suppose. But you know. Oh, he's spinning. Get out. Ooh, bailed out just in time. Oh, sadly, there's not much I can do other than run around for this. Definitely enjoying that juicy back attack damage. We can just change trade flying strikes and pretty easily kite out his attacks here. Yeah, look at that. Easy peasy bull. And pop? Nope. The cast finished him. The maim damage left him with like 1 HP, but we melted Theseus.
Thank you, thank you.
He was just driving around and we were clawing his back off.
Good shade.
Well, I said I was going to claw his face off. I guess I did, but I also very much took out his back. Theseus is hurting for flesh now. Alright, so we really hope to see Ares or Athena on this floor to give us their legendary, or their duo. We don't get it, well, I've proven that I have enough damage, I suppose. Here, before I switch out, let's see what's in here. Yarn of Ariadne. You know what? I think we buy that yarn, and that'll hopefully really increase our chances of seeing what we're looking for. So we'll take the Bone Hourglass. We'll take this, and we'll hope that other wells show up that give us something nice. May as well take the Life Essence, too. I'm gonna need... I'm hurting for coin, so hopefully I get a nice little pool of coin from Styx to buy whatever shows up in the shop. But there is a reasonable chance... There's a 2 in 4 chance, at least, that the gods we're looking for show up. If it's Demeter and Artemis, well... I'll cry a little bit, but it's one of those runs where you're like, this is my idea, this is what I want to do, and then this is what I get. There's Artemis, there's Ares. Okay, so there's a chance that Ares boon gives us something. And then there's a high tier Athena. We're going for this first. Mini bosses are easier to deal with, in my opinion. And then on top of that, there's a pretty solid chance between the Yarn of Ariadne that we picked up and just since this is a mini boss chamber, the base rarity is already going to be increased. There's a decent chance that we get what we want from here, and that being Merciful End, of course. But this is what I was saying at the start of the run. Merciful End, speed running with the gauntlets, you depend on Merciful End. And it's very hard to get Merciful End early. There are certainly instances where you get a very early duo boon, and that's why there are world records. It's a combination of skill, but also a lot of good RNG. And that's why, like, I'm gonna stick to casual speedruns of Hades, because I don't want to grind out a game that my success for a PB is, or at least even contending with world record, is very heavily RNG dependent.
That's one big save.
It seems very, like, very easy to burn out. You just get a lot of bad RNG in a row, and it can be very disheartening. I mean, I'd rather just play the game casually. I'll do the like try to push for a PB as I come across it, but I'm not gonna like go out of my way to like push for the best times in the world, because I don't want to. I think is what it boils down to. I don't want to. I don't have that energy in me. Would genuinely love it if this rat would stop standing in its pool of poison so I can damage it. All right, Athena, come on.
Accept this message.
Oh, Athena, you better not. All right, we're re-rolling. We've got one re-roll here.
What else is there?
We didn't get it. Oh, man. Well, we can at least get Blinding Flash makes, or now enemies that get hit by our deflection abilities get exposed. So we have a consistent status privilege going now between Doom and Exposed. We're going to have to hope that this Ares boon gives us what we're looking for. And I get the feeling it's not. We have one reroll, Kiwi. This is going to be the I'm going to go looking for Merciful End build where I don't get Merciful End.
Come on up.
And I'm going to be a little salty about that, probably. Such is life, though. Such is RNG. All right, Ares, what have you got?
I can use
What a
this.
surprise. Oh, well. I guess what we can go is we could take Slicing Shot and then take that Artemis room and see if she gives us her... I forgot to reroll, didn't I? I forgot to reroll, didn't I? Well, that's on me. We'll never know. I guess we can reroll Artemis and see if she gives us Hunting Blades at least. But, I mean, again, even if we didn't get Merciful End, we did get a pretty strong jack-of-all-trades sort of build. I'm not going to complain too much about that, I suppose. Like, our DPS seems pretty up there. It would have been off the charts if we had gotten Merciful End. But again, this is why it can be brutal running, especially, like, any speedrun is going to be brutal when you're hunting for the perfect setup to get, like, the boons that you need to get the run that you want. But I feel like the gauntlets suffer from it in particular because there are really two main speedrun builds that I've seen. The first one is actually what we ran in the Twin Fist speedrun with the aspect of, I think I did Demeter for that, I forget. It's Poseidon Dash comboed with Zeus attack. Sea Storm is nice, but that's really the base of your damage. And then you go for Lightning Rod, because apparently Lightning Rod does a ton of damage, particularly for speedruns where you're not running higher heats. And so you take Zeus, Poseidon, and Artemis, and that's kind of what you're depending on.
Zagreus, I wish we all could hear you so that good Lord Ares here might be persuaded that my powers are entirely for different purposes than his.
Yeah, one could argue. I mean, you can't deny that there are some similarities, but Artemis's survival is for providing sustenance. She's the goddess of the hunt. She gets food for people and keeps them alive. Ares, I mean, it is a fight for war is a fight for survival for many people as well, but it is human against human instead of human against. It's PvP versus PvE. Basically, Artemis is my kind of gal. She's a PvE main, and Ares is definitely a hardcore PvPer. And I definitely that might be why I don't synergize so well with Ares' personality. Maybe.
Perhaps our skill sets once were meant for different purposes, dear Artemis. But who are we to doubt the end result? Observe what shall transpire once we grant our kin our combined might.
So we got Hunting Blades, I guess.
Ooh.
Although Hunter's Mark sounds really fun. But okay, Hunting Blades it is. We'll take it.
I'll make every strike count.
So there's a palm we can take, and then I guess we'll go fight Zeus. I still call him Zeus. Why do I insist on calling Hades Zeus? He would be so pissed at me if he heard that.
Persuades the underworld's ferocious guardian to move aside.
No matter. All right, let's go ahead and see how this is. So again, if you are the sort that skips to the end just to hear see the boss fight, please do me a favor and let me know how the audio quality is, because I am fighting with a broken microphone sort of situation where it's not necessarily broken, but something went horribly wrong. And if you hear any audio cutting out in the commentary, please let me know about this, okay? Thanks.
Who shall be first to return home this time, do you suppose?
We all know the answer, Hades. It is going to be you over and over and over again. There is no changing that situation. Oh, no. I forgot that I have Hunting Blades. You know, we don't have the best synergy for Hunting Blades, admittedly. We only have one cast. Oh. This is fine. Alright, we'll take out his Bloodstones, and we're just gonna... I think I have enough Death Defiances that I don't really have to worry about dodging, so if he hits me, let's actually see how much damage he does if he hits us with his MAME enhanced damage, assuming he can hit us, which is a big if. Take out his friends while he's not vulnerable. I think I just go full monkey mode here. I can afford to. If I get down to one Death Defiance, yeah, I'll play a little bit safer, but until then, I think we're fine. Here, Hades, have another MAME. You know, the funny thing is like, I feel like taking the time to use Hunting Blades is a damage down here. We do have Greater Call, so I'll go ahead and just pop that right next to him.
How dare that?
That seemed like a nice bit of damage. Just crit for 1680, so that must have been the main damage getting crit on, which is pretty nice. Pressure points may not be guaranteed crit, but it's pretty consistent damage up no matter what you do, even if it's only a couple of your hits it affects.
I shall not fall to you again.
All right, Dusa, want to come say hello to Dad?
Dusa.
I think I used her to dodge one of his swings there. I'm not sure.
Summon our custodian for help.
I love how, like, surprised she is, because Dusa doesn't know what she's getting called into, I guess. She just shows up, and then she's here, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm fighting my boss. All right, have another Artemis. Look at that juicy damage. Look at that juicy, juicy damage. Thanks, Dusa. Cheer us on a little bit more. I love it. All right, and there we go. Yeah, I didn't care if I took damage. I've never...
I shall see you back at home.
I've never noticed it before, but I think there's a little sound effect for the sound of Hades' spear falling to the ground. I definitely heard some sort of like wooden rattling sound. Interesting.
Do this again.
There.
All right, so
in the name of Hades.
We definitely had a fair bit of crit chance on this, if nothing else. We had 20% from reflecting projectiles plus the base plus the base crit chance on forgive me, on pressure points. I think honestly this is kind of how I'd like to see the end slate. I want to honor Dusa because I think she's cute for being here. Let's show our Curse of Agony though and get rid of this one. This is fine. Deadly Reversal, Hunting Blades, Curse of Agony. We did not get Merciful End. The whole point of this run was to get Merciful End and see how that was on the aspect of Gilgamesh. Oh well, what are you gonna do? I definitely probably should have tried re-rolling that Ares boon once and seen what we would get. Oh well. You know what? Honestly, the Curse of Agony here just isn't doing it for my brain. Maybe okay, I need cosmetics. Hold on. Take that off. Let's leave Deadly Reversal there. Take off Hunting Blades. Put our attack here, then our other duo, and then do so. There we go. Symmetry makes my brain a lot happier. 86 win streak, 118 total clears. We are almost at an 100 win streak, which has been probably my biggest goal in this playthrough.
What lurks in the waters of the surface?
After that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think the big challenge ahead is going to be 32 heat on every aspect to give my final opinion on... I zoned out. I'm sorry.
Next time, Fish.
Sorry, Fish. I zoned out there real bad.
In his great hurry to explore the countryside, the hapless-footed prince steps on the peel of a most exotic, sallow-colored fruit and tumbles backward with such sudden, violent force that you know what occurs.
How?
So I think once I get 100 win streak, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 32 heat on every aspect weapon, and then after doing that, I'll give my final opinions on each aspect, which one I thought was the most fun, which one I thought was the
Wonder if I can get out even faster.
overall best performing.
Hello. Welcome to the House of Hades, and thanks for dying.
And then maybe I'll do some tier lists of like
Everything is as it always
of hammer perks, of
I've nothing left to teach you, lad.
Of gods as a whole, and then their boons after that. Because I think I have some opinions. Not all of them may be valid.
Doubtless I shall get you for that one next time.
Well, I guess maybe not valid, but like
there, Father.
Agree. Like they might be controversial.
Would that I could aid you in some way, my friend.
You already do, Orpheus. You play music, and it's awesome music.
Go in honor of your birth mother, the Queen.
For the Queen.
Good for Achilles.
All right, broker. Got anything good for us here? Ambrosia. I don't feel like I really need any more ambrosia, but I definitely don't need any more nectar, so we'll buy it.
Oh, hi.
Here's the catch of the day.
Lots of things to turn in. A shame we didn't get that surface fish. Whole bunch of darkness, some nectar, and some gems. All right, Dusa, do you have something new to say?
How's work lately, Dusa? You seem to have a handle on your new responsibilities, or so I hear from Nyx.
Oh, yes, it's going pretty well so far, I think. I have some new accounting duties, though I've parceled everything and got a budget for a little extra help. It's funny, I should be busier than ever, but I have more time to spare lately, and things are good, I guess.
I love this notion that taking time for yourself and not overperforming in your job helps allow you to perform well in your job. Like burnout, exhaustion, splitting yourself too thin. It hurts. It really hurts, and I have learned that lesson, and I'm very thankful that Kiwi is kind of my gatekeeper for stopping me from overdoing it. And I know she can feel a little guilty about that, like stopping me from doing things. But Kiwi, I'm saying this out loud so you hear it. Thank you for that. You really do stop me from hurting myself, because I am certainly prone to hurting myself without realizing it. I spread myself way too thin, way too often. So again, thank you for that.
Great to hear it. Hope you keep it up.
But interesting that Deuce is doing accounting now. Like, I find that funny.
I'm so proud of Dusa lately, Meg. Chief custodian of the house, was it? It's quite an honor coming from Nyx.
I thought all the added responsibility would stress Deuce out worse than usual, but she's taking it in stride.
You're always looking out for her. Thanks for that.
Not doing it for you. So, thanks for looking out for her yourself.
Mutual friends take care of each other.
Of course.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that Dusa has more than just Zagreus as a support network, even if it is only seemingly just Meg. I would love to see Dusa interact with some of the other housemates a little bit more. I feel like she and Hypnos would be fun. I mean, we did actually see some interactions between those two. Dusa trying to get Hypnos to do his job, in other words, which is always funny. But now Hypnos is doing his job, so I guess she doesn't have to worry about that as much. Oh, yay, a bow run. I could go for a bow run. All right, I have an idea. I'll pick what weapon and what keepsake I'm going to run in a second, but Kiwi, I hope you've enjoyed watching. We'll figure out what our run is for next episode off screen.
Could use a good smack in the jaw from you right about now.
With all that said though, Kiwi, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you're awake, I hope this is helping you fall asleep. If you're sleeping, I hope you're sleeping well, and I hope the audio balancing, as particularly the commentary, hasn't had any egregious cutting out of dialogue. With all that said though, I love you, Kiwi, and I will see you in the next one.